Have you ever wondered how many unsung heroines of science and technology have shaped our world? The annals of history have often overlooked the contributions of women, and more so, women of color. Their narratives are sometimes hidden in the shadows, their accomplishments subtly woven into the fabric of our scientific progress. Yet, among these unseen heroines, one name has recently emerged from the shadows, illuminating a path for future generations. Her name is Katherine Johnson, a mathematician whose calculations were instrumental in the success of some of the most iconic NASA missions. Once an overlooked figure, she is now recognized for her remarkable contributions to science and technology. Her story is a testament to the power of intellect, perseverance, and courage, a beacon for women and girls in science everywhere. Today, we delve into the extraordinary life and accomplishments of Katherine Johnson, a hidden figure no more. Katherine Johnson's journey to the stars began on Earth in a small town in West Virginia. Born in the midst of the roaring 20s, Katherine was a prodigy, a bright spark in the realm of numbers. By the age of 10, she had already surpassed the educational opportunities available to her in her segregated hometown. Undeterred, her family relocated so she could continue her education at a high school on the campus of West Virginia State College. In no time, Katherine was a college student herself, thriving amidst the complexities of mathematics and the sciences. She graduated summa cum laude in 1937, at just 18 years of age, with degrees in mathematics and French. But the societal and racial barriers of the time proved a formidable adversary. Yet Katherine was not one to be easily dissuaded. Her passion for mathematics and her determination to succeed would set the stage for an extraordinary career. In a time of segregation and limited opportunities for Black women, Katherine Johnson shattered glass ceilings at NASA. She began her career in the early 50s at the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, the precursor to NASA. Here, she was part of the West Area Computing Unit, an all-Black team of female mathematicians. Despite the double bind of racial and gender discrimination, Katherine and her colleagues broke through the barriers of prejudice with their extraordinary skills and unwavering determination. Katherine's work was not limited to a segregated unit. Her keen understanding of complex calculations and her ability to ask the right questions led her to work on projects that were typically reserved for men. She was known for her accuracy in computerized celestial navigation, and she played a crucial role in the success of several NASA missions. Her progression within the organization was remarkable. From being a human computer in the segregated unit, Katherine made her way to becoming one of NASA's leading mathematicians. She was a trailblazer, setting a precedent for Black women in science. She was involved in pivotal projects, including calculating the trajectory for Alan Shepard's historic 1961 spaceflight, which marked America's first human spaceflight. Katherine's work on John Glenn's 1962 mission, the first American mission to orbit the Earth, was another testament to her skill and dedication. When the mission was in jeopardy due to doubts about the newly installed electronic computer's reliability, it was Katherine's hand-done calculations that were trusted to bring the mission home safely. Yet, despite her significant contributions, her role was often downplayed, her name left out of reports, and the credit given to her male counterparts. It was not until decades later that her work began to receive the recognition it deserved. Her calculations were instrumental in America's space program, yet her contributions remained largely unrecognized. Katherine Johnson was an unsung heroine, a woman of color who dared to dream, dared to question, and dared to break barriers in a time when the odds were stacked against her. When Neil Armstrong set his foot on the moon, few knew the critical role Katherine Johnson played in this historic event. In the mid-20th century, the idea of humans setting foot on the moon was a distant, almost impossible dream. But Katherine Johnson, a brilliant mathematician working behind the scenes at NASA, was instrumental in turning this dream into reality. She was the woman behind the moon landing. Johnson's work was critical to the success of the Apollo 11 mission. She played a key role in the team that calculated the trajectory for the spacecraft. These calculations weren't simply a matter of plotting a straight line from Earth to the moon. The team had to account for the gravitational pull of both bodies, the velocity of the spacecraft, and the timing of the launch to ensure that the spacecraft would land at the correct spot on the moon at the right time. Her work didn't stop there. Johnson also helped to develop the backup procedures and charts that guided the astronauts throughout the mission. These charts were essential to the success of the mission, as they provided the astronauts with a roadmap for their journey and ensured that they could return safely to Earth. Johnson's calculations were so accurate that when NASA switched to using computers for the later Apollo missions, the astronauts insisted on having Johnson verify the computer's calculations before they would trust them. Astronaut John Glenn famously said, "If she says they're good, then I'm ready to go." Johnson's contributions were not just about numbers and calculations. She was breaking barriers and changing perceptions. As a Black woman in a predominantly white and male field, her work was a powerful statement that women and people of color could excel in science and contribute significantly to some of the most important achievements in human history. Without Katherine Johnson's precise calculations, the moon landing might have remained a distant dream. Her work was instrumental in ensuring that this dream was not only achieved, but also that it paved the way for future space exploration. Katherine Johnson's story remained untold for decades, but her legacy is now impossible to ignore. It was not until the twilight of her life that the world began to recognize the magnitude of her contributions. In 2015, President Barack Obama awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. NASA, the very institution where she once toiled in obscurity, has renamed facilities in her honor, ensuring that future generations of scientists and astronauts know her name. Beyond the realm of science, Katherine's story reached the masses through the critically acclaimed film Hidden Figures. The movie shone a spotlight not only on Katherine, but also on the countless other women of color who were instrumental in the success of the American space program. Katherine Johnson, a woman once hidden in the shadows, has now taken her rightful place in the pantheon of science and technology pioneers.